Hello and welcome to Entertainment of Excellence, the podcast where we talk about films, TV, all of it. Hi, I'm Ollie.
I'm Thom.
And I'm Ben.
And today we're talking about the 1967 film Playtime. This will contain spoilers.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so plot.
Plot time.
Yeah, so the plot of was that a good? That was a little joke, I think.
Oh, we just started recording at 2. That'll be quite good to keep track of how long we've been going.
Is this going in the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. So plot
Because 2, that's the time. Yeah, like
the playtime. And talking
Time
of
to play.
And talking of playtime, I watched it, and so did you.
We just
Well
played
done.
the movie for some time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And its plot, so there's a man, and he's in a grey suit, and he really wants to talk to this other man with a blue folder. But, he can't. Oh, he's so silly. He
What a silly Billy.
goes through some offices and through weird doors, and he's silly. There's a slippy floor. You remember the slippy floor?
I
That
do.
comes up twice when he's in. You know the bit in the houses behind the glass? He just starts slipping on the floor again. I'm like, that's a different floor, but okay.
Many slippy floors.
He's trying to find him, and then it's nighttime, and then he does find him, and he's like, oh, it's you. And then we look at a restaurant for 45 minutes, and I think that's the plot.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then the American tourists go away.
Oh, there's tourists. Okay, so the thing about this is that there isn't really a plot. That's the it's like a
That's
series.
The plot. There is no one.
There's a series of elaborate scenes with like big wide shots with loads of visual gags going on, and it's supposed to paint more of like an aesthetic of like a dystopia, but maybe utopia, or like this strange future where there's like loads of posters that are like fly to London, and it's just got the big grey skyscraper on it, or like fly to what's another place? Oslo,
USA.
big grey building. Fly to USA, big grey building.
Yeah.
Fly to Dubai, big grey building. And it's like, so there's big grey buildings in all these places because it's probably something to do with industrialization.
Ooh, do you reckon?
Yeah. I think that this film was about something.
I
Playing.
think you're probably right.
I think, yeah. And the tourism, and I enjoyed. I think it sets up that tone very well, where there's a scene near the start where the tourists arrive. Some are from Britain, though, I think, right? They're English. They're like...
A few are, yeah.
There's a couple, yeah.
Yeah,
But they
and
mainly
then
focus on the American one.
they see, like... All the roads have so many arrows on, is one thing I noticed. Like, constant arrows. And then one of them, it said, like, Paris. As soon as they saw it say Paris on the road, they stopped the bus, get out of the bus in the middle of a motorway, and start taking photos of one of the big grey office buildings. They're like, oh, look at
Oh my
that.
God, it's
Oh my
Paris.
God. Yeah, exactly. And then there's also more things about that theme where you only ever see the big monuments in like reflections. Like
Yeah,
there's one time where
the
they open a
Eiffel
glass
Tower.
door, and then there's the Eiffel Tower there.
I really liked that, the aesthetic of it. It was so grey and grim kind of, but not necessarily. But also the colour palette, especially early on, sort of seemed vibrant, even though it wasn't necessarily.
It's all really grey, and everyone just wears different shades of grey, and yet it somehow feels very colourful.
It's strange how they manage that, but I think that's an interesting way of showing that industrialisation. And as you say, that you get very brief glimpses at the Eiffel Tower and stuff, but a lot of it is just these giant skyscrapers kind of blocking obscuring the view of the city and stuff.
Yeah, and it looks really good because they like built loads of this. I've heard that it just lost loads of money because they it's called like Tattuville, and a lot of it uses perspective effects, but he just spent loads of money building these huge elaborate sets and the outside things like the roundabout where all the cars are just
that was
riding
really
around
cool.
and stuff. So just huge sets and it did not make that money back.
And I just loved all the sort of wide shots that you kind of were always presented from a bit of a distance from the protagonist. So, and just the way that, so the first time where he's kind of looking down at the different offices and stuff, there's that distance created. And then also, I think there's just really interesting ways of showing stuff, like when he's going up when he gets trapped in that elevator, and then you see it from the outside and you see the lift going up with the light.
Yes.
He
He built that building with a working elevator.
Oh my God.
That's what I read. One of the things was the working.
Yeah,
lift.
you can just really tell how meticulously crafted all this was, not just in terms of the way everyone functions and a lot of the stuff kind of happened. A lot of the jokes and things are very visual and background, but also, as you're saying, just the dedication to building stuff and the aesthetic of it is very impressive.
Everything has so much detail, from the huge buildings to like the nuns with the weird flappy hats.
Yeah.
Why do they have?
That's just
flappy
a really,
hats?
because that's sort of our introduction to it. It's like
Yeah.
a recognizable environment, but there's some absurdity going on that you never really fully grasp, because a lot of it is just peripheral.
Yeah. And there's a lot of goofs and gaps. I wrote some of them down, but I'm gonna remember them, so I don't have to check my phone. But if I do check my phone, it's because I'm looking at what goofs and gaps did I forget.
Straight off the cranium.
Exactly. There was a bit I genuinely really enjoyed, a bit of just a guy walking down a corridor for ages with loud shoes. That was funny.
That was funny.
Because he was going clup, 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 and then the guy was like, "Oh, just get up and meet him," and he's like, "No, no, he'll come to you." And he's like, "Oh, no." It goes on for quite a while. But it's like the bit in...
And all that guy does is open the door, right?
Yeah, and then sends him into a waiting room.
Yeah.
And then he's waiting for that guy again, I think. But it's like the bit in Monty Python and the Holy Grail of the guy running over the mountain with and then keeps resetting him. So
it's funny you say that in comparison to Monty Python, because this did that. Parts of this reminded me a bit of Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
Yes.
I think there were some similarities there in the environment, and sort of, as you're saying, it's not necessarily dystopia, but there's levels of stuff that aren't really revealed, but something slightly sinister is going on, or I think that's kind of similar to Brazil.
It's like it's really odd, because it's like there's a loss of individuality because everything's in grey, but also every individual person is in an elaborate bit, so it still has the individuality.
Yeah,
it's really
true.
It's quite odd, and there's so many. I wasn't able to notice like all the. I didn't note down lots of background bits, but there's like little subtle bits that aren't explicit. Like there's a wide shot of them looking down on loads of office cubicles, and when the character with the folder like walks into one, so the grey suit man who's looking for him wakes by that door, and then he calls someone that you see answer the phone, like 2 cubicles over, not far at all. And then he puts down the phone, walks out of another door, so you're instantly like, well, this guy's gone now. He's never going to find him because he's gone out the other secret door. And then he walks over to the cubicle of the man he just found, gets something out of a file, walks back to his other cubicle and phones that guy again. And it's like, it's not a very obvious joke, but it's so like obviously ridiculous way to go about things.
Yeah.
That I thought that was funny. And there's like just really cleverly set up bits. Like there's a section where the man trying to get the folder man sees his reflection in a mirror looking the other way. But he thinks... So in reality, the guy's behind him. So there's the suit man in front and then the other guy behind him looking backwards. So he thinks he's seeing him in the window looking the same way as him. So he tries to get his attention, goes through the door to go find him because there's another glass window in front where he's still reflected, and tries to get his attention. And then the other guy turns around and tries to get his attention. He's like, oh, he's noticed me. I'm going to go get him. And it's so elaborate of how it's set up, because it does look like he's over there.
I don't know how they managed to do that.
It's crazy.
But yeah, something that I just thought was quite interesting was obviously that a lot of the idea of this is the protagonist kind of being lost and confused in this very complex workplace. But I think it's quite interesting how that contrast between, there's a lot of people who are doing a ton. Like the guy on the chair, like doing all that he's doing, and then a lot of people that are just seemingly not doing very much. So there's like that the contrast. But again, even the people that aren't necessarily doing a lot in the workforce are still. The film is kind of dependent on them for a lot of the jokes and stuff. And this is something I was saying earlier to Ben, is that what I find particularly impressive about this film is that Jacques Tati, the director, is actually playing the main character as well. So the way he was able to orchestrate all this environment and all these things that are reliant on what other people are doing and stuff, whilst also being in the film himself, and also in quite a lot of his other films that he's directed, I noticed that it's the same recurring character, also obviously played by him. So this must be like something that he does quite frequently. It's just very impressive being able to act and direct something so well crafted.
I just want to loop back to the chairperson, because that's one of my favourite jokes, where it's just someone on a chair and they like scoot along with their legs on a sliding chair.
That was a funny joke.
And he goes so fast between the phones. He's like, hello, 1 second, hello, 1 second, and then the character goes around the back. I think he's just doing something else.
Yeah,
and you just see the legs beneath like a whiteboard, just like scuttling about. Then at one point he stands up and walks. And then gets back on the chair and goes, and you're like, actually, that's quite deft footwork. I was impressed. I was like, wow, that's more impressive than it looked from the front.
Yeah.
He's pretty skilled. I didn't actually know it was Jacques Tati I can't believe I didn't know that.
Yeah, well,
I knew the budget stuff, but I didn't.
It's quite impressive. I think probably my favourite part was where he, with all the sort of pointless inventions and gadgets that
was
showcased downstairs. It was very funny.
There's
the door that slams silently.
Yeah,
I was leading up to that, Ben. That's the best bit, because there's initially the glasses that like you can tilt at 90 degrees.
Yeah,
put on your mascara and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that's really what a lot of people have used it for. Is it? It's just
they just wear silly glasses
as a fashion
like one
statement.
of them has them like, oh, you broke your glasses. And then there's like a broom with headlights on.
Yeah.
So you can see where you're sleeping, and everyone was very impressed with that.
I was quite impressed with that, to be honest.
There's the really tacky,
lamps.
like ancient Greece things that uses bins.
There's Greek pillars as bins.
Yeah.
That was good. And then finally, there's the silent doors. And also like silent desks, right? Because I swear they put something on the desk and it makes no noise.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's like, you can't. The doors are completely soundproof, and you can't. Well, you can slam them, but they don't make a noise at all.
Yeah,
which then obviously builds up to a bit where someone gets into an argument around the silent door area, and is constantly is like walking out aggressively, slamming the door, and it just absolutely makes no noise. And he's like slamming it while arguing, and then as soon as he shuts it, you can't hear him anymore because of the soundproofing.
The other guy turns around and is like, where's he gone?
Yeah.
because he didn't hear the door slamming, and he's just looking at the side of it now.
I know. And that bit is great. That's like where the dubbing of the sound always helps it, because you can so seamlessly make something have no noise, because they're not cutting out sound that's been recorded.
Yeah.
Because all the lines are dubbed over, so it's just dead silence.
Yeah.
And it works really effectively. That was great. I loved the silent slamming doors. Because why would you
yeah, exactly, what's the point?
use that?
you couldn't even hear anyone like knocking on it, so
I know. Like, I could understand the headlights on the broom a bit. Also, there's the thing of the lamp that needs repairing, and he just steals the lamp from the silent doors.
And doesn't he just plug it in? And
it's
really like,
and like, you fixed it, thank you. And he's like, no charge. But he nearly forgets his. I don't know what the point of hanging the hat and coat on the thing was. Someone brings it back. That was probably a joke we missed.
Yeah,
there's so much.
To me, it's just him sort of being entangled in this environment he didn't really understand, and sort of haphazardly like fixing things like the lamp and stuff. Just by pure chance. And as we were saying, it kind of was like a sort of Mr. Bean-esque character. This is like
Yeah.
Kino Mr. Bean.
The thing is, that's one of the main things I don't like about this film is how much it heavily derives from Mr. Bean's Holiday.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so derivative of Mr. Bean's Holiday.
It is, and yeah, I mean, Jacques Tati's character that he plays in all of these other things, that is his Mr. Bean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
And
get a
it's
bit of originality.
blatant plagiarism.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It really is.
And it has a whole restaurant bit as well. It's just like Mr.
Yeah,
Bean.
exactly.
There's
Yeah,
loads of
Mr.
Mr. Bean stuff in the
Mr.
restaurant.
Bean has restaurant bits.
You know where he puts the food in that lady's purse in Mr. Bean?
Yeah.
That's a restaurant bit. But this restaurant bit, though, unlike Mr. Bean, it goes on for quite a long time, doesn't it?
Yeah,
The Mr. Bean restaurant bit is far superior.
yeah.
Well-
So there's some bits in this that were better than some bits in Mr. Bean's Holiday.
Yeah.
Controversial, I know,
Controversial.
but the restaurant bit,
It kind of drags.
So the thing is that I think for some people this restaurant bit is the highlight.
Really?
Yes, because it's a very long 45-minute, extremely elaborate. Because this one is so elaborate because there's so many people all doing individual things, but it goes on for quite a long time. Doesn't involve like any of the characters we've seen before
no,
for a while.
that's why it
And
kind of lost me, because
Yeah.
I liked the way it sort of descended into everything going wrong, and the way that they kind of use that. So when the ceiling falls down, and then that's kind of used as a way of this guy opening up a different
Yeah.
part of the restaurant.
VIP section.
Yeah.
You've got the crown imprinted on your back.
Yeah. So all that kind of stuff was funny, but my two main issues was just one, that it dragged, and second, it just seemed to shift away from the focus of the characters, which was a bit odd because it just felt jarring coming out of nowhere, and then it
the
lasted
rest of the
so
film
long.
was
Yeah.
focused on the characters.
Yeah, and then when it
everything.
did return towards the end, when it was the morning, that bit kind of lost me again as well, because it just kind of seemed to suddenly end out of the blue to me. I don't think it really had that much of a powerful.
Because the whole time I was like,
conclusion.
how are they actually going to end this? Because the whole point is that you're just looking at this world operate.
Yeah.
How do you end it? And I
they
guess
just
they
kinda
just
do.
kind of roll credits
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
like, no, that's it.
Yeah,
tourists get back on the bus.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the tourists leave, so that's something.
I know, but I don't. I feel like those characters are a bit underutilized to me.
Yeah.
But they got that photo. Remember,
is
she's
true.
struggling to get a photo.
That's
With-
the main conflict to this film.
Yeah,
that
there's a
picture.
lot of
The story mountain in like 1 minute.
There's a lot of color symbolism, but I wasn't entirely sure what it was doing. Like there was the whole thing of that they're supposed to be able to find color in this drab world, which is why he's so insistent on going after the blue. There's a lot of light blue seeming to mean like want. Like the
Yeah.
TVs were blue as well. I don't know. There was a lot of blue stuff, which I think that's symbolizing like some drive or want of something.
You've been watching too much Three Colors.
I have.
Yeah.
I watched the Three Colors trilogy recently, so that's the thing. It actually represents sad French women,
That's true.
which is why it's in this, which is a French movie. But also, like the flower lady is this kind of interesting counter to a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
She's got lots of colours, but her thing is still grey, and they're trying to get a photo of her, but people keep walking
People keep
past,
interrupting.
including those youths
Those
Then
darn youths.
with their like leather bike stuff on, you know. Youths,
biker youths.
biker youths. But they eventually get a photo of her. But I feel like that bit I should have been like, oh, they got the photo.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, they got the
I
photo.
just didn't care.
Yeah.
See, I had a very interesting experience watching this because I watched this all in one go after I'd just woken up at 9 a.m. and it was quite interesting because I hadn't slept very well the night before, so I kind of kept drifting in and out of sleep for some bits. So some of these bits, I really need to rewatch it. This is why I'm not saying too much about it. But it was just kind of odd to like drift into sleep a little bit, and then everything's completely different, and you know everyone's still being wacky. And I think in a sense that I wouldn't recommend it, but that did actually kind of add to the sort of whole surreal nature of it for me.
Well, another thing we were saying that kind of added to that was the we didn't watch it with subtitles. So
I was gonna
some
get
of it
onto that,
was
yeah.
in English, but a lot of the French stuff, like I didn't really follow too much. But if anything, that kind of reflected the what the main character
Yeah.
is
Well,
going
the thing
through.
was, the film started and it starts with these American tourists, and obviously there's French people there, but they're speaking to them in English. So, excuse me. So at the start of the film, I actually thought it was in English.
I thought it opens with a couple speaking in French though, because I was like trying to find the subtitle at that point.
But it was sort of after that point where more and more
Okay,
people
yeah.
started speaking in French. I was like, oh, it's not in English, it's just English people in a French film.
Yeah.
At which point I reached for the subtitles. So I don't know quite how legal this is. It is up on YouTube in full.
I think it's legal for if it was on YouTube. It's not our fault.
Well, no, I mean like the actual legality of the upload itself.
Oh no, probably not legal.
Like, you know, if it's still up there when this episode's up, I'd recommend you watch it maybe. But also, the only subtitles were in, I think, Portuguese or Italian.
Yeah, it wasn't French, even though it
Yeah.
said it was in French.
Yeah.
Because it was YouTube, so I was kind of thinking, oh, well, maybe I could get auto-generated French captions and then translate them to English, which is obviously not going to be particularly great, but
Yeah.
you kind of understand some of what was being said.
I mean, I know a bit of French, so even the French captions would have been good. But I caught some of what they were saying, and it was generally like, "Wait there," or
Yeah.
"Come with me." Like
It wasn't a
it's
very
more about the
dialogue
physical.
heavy
Like
film.
they're very gesture heavy.
Yeah.
The only like bits I was thinking about this while watching it. It was like the only bits of dialogue that you need and like wouldn't really work is the English bits where that guy's like, I'm gonna buy this place and make my own restaurant. Like if I didn't know what he said there, I would have had no idea what was going on. So I think like all the important bits of dialogue, of which there's probably 3 sentences.
Well, see,
Word.
I think
English.
this focus on physicality and not so much on the actual dialogue itself is just another thing they've ripped off with Mr. Bean.
honestly.
Definitely ripped
You know.
off from Mr. Bean. It's shocking, really.
I know.
But it's interesting because I read about Jacques Tati's films being like the bridge between the silent film era and the talkies.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely counts for this. Of course, there had been dialogue in movies quite a while at this point, but yeah, it was still very silent film-esque in its storytelling.
I feel like it could
humour.
have functioned without dialogue for the most part. Like as you said, there were
Yeah.
a few instances where it was kind of developed the story in
Well,
quotation marks.
it'd
but-
be interesting because you know some silent films they'll just cut away and have like a screen with
Yeah.
some text on it. I feel like you could easily cut this film and make it work like that.
Yeah.
Maybe the original 2.5 hour cut did do that. So
Yeah, I don't think I could have.
there's been multiple
suffered through that, to be honest.
there's been multiple edits of this movie. We watched the 2 hour 4 minute, I think, international version where some of the French lines were dubbed in English. I think that happened because there were sometimes that in the dubbing it seemed like they were saying something completely different to what I was hearing.
Yeah.
So I think it was the international version. It was definitely the 2 hour 4 minute one, obviously. But initially, when it was released in France, it was 155 minutes long. It ran like that for 6 months, which is a long time. Oh, now I
Yeah.
think about it, it was in cinemas. But I guess olden days.
Do you think all the extra time was just more of that restaurant?
Yeah,
scene?
do you know what was cut?
I don't know what was cut actually. It just said after audience feedback, he
Right.
reduced it. It wasn't even to 2 hours 4 minutes. It was it may have still been a bit longer.
Yeah. Because to be honest, I would have liked a bit longer in the office setting.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was my favourite kind of
Because
stuff.
I
liked
kind of
it
thought that
quite
would
a bit
be.
less.
I thought the restaurant bit would just be like a very brief, maybe
Me
10-minute
too.
max.
Yeah, I think the
Sequence.
main problem that I had with it is because I liked loads of the jokes. There's a smashed glass door that the
Yeah, that was
doorman
good.
like just holds the handle of to pretend it's still a door, and then use it as like a collection
Yeah, for
bowl and
money.
loads of stuff like that. And this waiter that keeps being given more and more broken clothes and all the crowns pressed into their backs, and seeing just 60s dancing I thought was funny. And there's loads of little bits like sending the fish to random people. I can't remember, but there were lots of jokes there that I liked. But it was because this like new restaurant, and a drooping plane model when it was hot, and the ice. He was given a bucket of broken glass
Right,
of the door. That was good. Loads of gags, but it didn't fit with the aesthetic of the rest of the movie, because you're now just in a restaurant and it's not the drab greyness. Like, it's quite colourful. They've got music.
Yeah, exactly.
New, and
it was chaotic in the same way that some of the office setting was, but that didn't seem to convey the same sort of themes, because like what is that's just a general chaos of a restaurant. That's not really meant to be shown anything about this working environment and all this like sort of capitalist stuff that's going on in the beginning of the film. It just was such a tonal shift.
I think pacing wise as well, obviously not right at the start, but as the film sort of progresses, it's mostly sort of the main character walking around, going to different places, and you'll dwell in each place a little bit and explore what's going on, but generally it's sort of moving on.
Yeah.
And it felt like the character just took like a left turn and we were just stuck in the restaurant for 45 minutes.
But I don't think he was even in it.
Yeah.
It was just we went in.
Exactly.
And I understand like having it, because it feels like this was supposed to explore like the nightlife of this place, because you're going through the day or like the journey of different things that are going on in this world, and it's like now we get to the nightlife section. But I feel like they just made the restaurant also be a club, so they stayed in there literally until dawn.
Yeah,
like the lights coming up, and it's like it would have. I know and understand it's this big elaborate thing, but it doesn't. To me, it doesn't ring to what the nightlife of that place would be like.
No.
Or maybe it's supposed to be like, because they're all in this drab kind of monotonous place, that they then go wild in specific places.
But I feel like you could have communicated that without having to be so long.
Without a 45
Yeah,
minute.
because I guess the one
from the sort of plot.
Yeah, the one thing that length that kind of justifies that length, I guess, is when you then get it. When it's the morning, it's shown sort of the waking up of the city and everything that's going on. So you get that transition into the new day. But as I said before, I didn't really feel like that was a particularly good ending either. So,
apart from the window with the bus, there was a reflection of the bus on the window where he tilts the window and it looks like they go, whoa!
That was good.
Yeah.
I think that was worth it. Just for that bit. But yeah, it just kind of limps to the end.
Yeah.
It feels like,
which is a shame, because the first hour and plus was like really interesting and a very unique style, which I feel like I've seen quite a few things that seem to be inspired by it, but it still felt like its own thing.
The Mattel offices in Barbie, I'd noted that down. I was like, this is the grey cubicles, everyone wearing grey. I was like, Greta Gerwig literally mentioning Jacques Tati movies.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, she's definitely been inspired by this.
And the shot with the like the four windows, and you kind of get a glimpse into what everyone's doing.
Yeah.
I felt, well, it's a bit of a cliche to compare anything that's like frame like that to Wes Anderson, but I feel like there was definitely a lot of similarities there.
Definitely, I also got lots of Wes Anderson stuff.
There were people mentioning Wes Anderson in the comments and everything.
Yeah, it definitely feels like an influence for him. One thing, I don't know if I'm just being stupid here, but was there an actual score, or was it just like the in-film music? Because I can't remember any music.
There was, yeah.
I remember theme. The opening. I was like, "This music's sick."
Yeah,
it was so cool. It was like this weird, jaunty thing. No, there was definitely a score, because I remember.
I just remember a lot of the stuff in the office didn't seem to have music.
Yeah, no, there is music, but it's mainly at the start and end, I think.
Yeah,
and then with in-universe stuff.
I mean, with the office, but it was probably purposely left out to make it more drab and dreary.
Yeah,
and that sort of.
I quite like that, but. And then it just like goes full music in the restaurant.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, it's interesting. But lots of funny bits. Do you remember the bit where they take the back off of one of the chairs because it keeps pressing into people's back, and then he's holding it, and the woman's like, "Oh, thanks for my chair," and just falls on the floor. That was funny. The marble where someone thinks it's a map because they're really drunk and they're like tracing the lines of marble. Funny stuff.
And the glued down tiles on the floor that they keep stepping over.
Keep stepping on. It sticks on him. It was good. As I say, if you want good old fashioned, but also like quite clever and elaborate jokes, then this is. If you were like, oh, I love physical comedy, but it's always just people slipping on a banana peel, then watch this to get stuff of not just that. But they don't even do the classics. There's one where people are watching through a window of this office building of like 8 men carrying a huge, extremely clear pane of glass. And I was like, someone's going to go into that, but they just didn't. Sometimes it felt like it set up jokes that you could laugh at if you like. You could work out what the punchline would be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually waste time showing that if you could work it out. Like the same thing as I mentioned of the guy going out of that office cubicle door that's on the other side of where the main character's waiting. It doesn't have the main character going into the cubicle going like, why are you taking so long? Where's he gone? Because you can like work out. I don't know. I'm not sure if that is what's happening or if they just didn't do the punchlines. but like I laughed nonetheless. That's what I was going to ask actually. Like, did you actually laugh at this? Because I was chuckling to myself. Because we all watched this separately by
having
ourselves.
a little chuckle.
and I genuinely at points I was like, so I did actually laugh. It wasn't like, 4 laughs a minute or anything.
No.
But I did actually laugh.
Yeah.
At multiple points. So I thought it was funny. Did you laugh, Ben?
I didn't really, but my brain was like, oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Did you go like...
Probably.
Like a dog.
Oh, that's a
reference.
that's something we did before the podcast.
Yeah, maybe a bonus segment in future episodes.
Subscribe to us on Patreon for that.
Instead of submission spotlight, we'll do this when we don't have one.
Yeah, some laughing like a cat or a dog.
Yeah, it's
Pressing issues.
It's maybe we'll even do it this episode because we don't have a submission.
We could do one each.
Yeah, we could. You'll find out what it is.
It
could be
We're really
anything at this
hyping
point.
this up.
It's very mysterious.
Oh, it's so scary.
Something never been done before in the
Yeah.
history of the podcast.
But did you laugh, Ollie, during the movie?
I think I did the same as Ben, and just, it was like that's a funny.
See,
element.
that's how I thought I'd do that, but I did actually laugh.
Yeah.
I was like, instead I went, that's funny. Ha! I did that instead.
That's good to know. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that with us.
Especially the slamming doors bit, I was going, hoo-hoo-hoo. And then the
Did you go,
slidey chairman, I was going,
I was going to say, did you go he at any point?
oh, I definitely went he.
What about ho ho ho?
Oh, when they brought out the 3rd broken item of clothing to the waiter, I went, ho ho ho.
Oh,
Did you go hoo?
At
At any point?
When the I need to think of another joke. There were so many jokes in it.
The man in the corridor.
No, I've said that one, Ben. I'm trying to think of a new joke
new
that
joke.
hasn't been mentioned yet. When the ceiling fell, I went hoo 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 like that.
What
blame
the
you.
vowels are there? Oh, there's Y. Did you go here?
When the man fell off of his stool at the bar for the 3rd time, because I genuinely love repeated jokes. I went yeah.
Goofy laugh.
Yeah. Goofy would look. You know what? This film actually, Goofy wouldn't like this movie because they stole so much from a Goofy movie.
Just be angry and writing a letter to
This
Mickey
is
at Disney.
a complete
Not-
tangent, but do you see that the Atlanta episodes from season 4? There's just like a behind the scenes thing of the Goofy movie.
No,
Oh,
the one I need to finish it. I
Yeah.
don't think I finished it.
well,
Is it season
that's
4?
something to look forward to.
I mean, I saw the episode where everyone was wearing goofy hats.
Yeah, it would be that one then.
Oh, is it that? Is it that's what it is? It's behind the scenes of the Goofy
Yeah,
movie.
it's not an Atlanta episode. It's just a documentary, half an hour about the Goofy movie. Don't have
Really?
anyone from Atlanta in. Yeah.
Well, I remember there being an episode where it's got Paperboy like seeing loads of people in the Netherlands wearing goofy hats, and he's like, "What's going on?" Is that not that?
No.
What?
Well, if you've seen it, you would know.
Okay.
Anyway,
season 4 is season 4 the newest one?
yeah.
Maybe I haven't seen it then.
Okay, let's stop talking about Atlanta and start talking about the Goofy movie.
No, Ben, sorry, I got it wrong. Playtime actually stole from a goofier movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When you thought it couldn't get any more goofy.
Do you think they should make a sequel to Mr. Bean's Holiday called A Beanier Holiday?
Wasn't Mr. Bean's Holiday a sequel?
Yeah,
to
Disaster. Bean Disaster.
Yeah, but that one's not as good. Mr. Bean's Holiday actually slaps.
When are they going to make Playtime a...
Well, here's a question. Do you think after watching Playtime you'd be drawn to any of his other films? Because I feel like they all seem to have a very similar style, and this one's often labelled as the best one.
Personally, no. And I think for those reasons you've just laid out, because I appreciate this film for what it is, and I did enjoy watching it, and I will go and watch it again, probably quite soon, with subtitles and fully awake.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really... I mean, I'll have to check out some of his other films on like on IMDb and stuff, but unless there's any that's like a big departure in style, I don't think that I'd really want to watch another one.
I think I would want to watch this one again, preferably like at a packed cinema.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I watched it on a fairly big
yeah.
TV, because a lot of people are like, you have to watch this in the cinema because you need to see all the big stuff and
Well,
see
I
all
watched
the
it on my
little
phone.
Oh god, that would be a nightmare watch. I can't actually imagine being able to see anything.
But okay, slight tangent. I don't quite understand the whole like if it's on your phone it's too small thing, because I had my phone like kind of right up to my face, and the amount of my vision it was taking up would have been kind of the same amount of vision if you're at the back row of a cinema.
I think, but you have to strain more is the idea when it's close to your face.
I mean, maybe it's just because I'm short-sighted. I didn't.
Yeah, that's fair. But I would find it easier. I mean, I watched it on a
Take
fairly
that,
big...
Scorsese.
Yeah, I would have watched it on a fairly big TV, but
I watched
think on the
2001 on
cinema-
my phone.
Oh my god.
Oh, moving on. I think
One day
I'm trying
I'll-
to remember. My brother watched something like
One day I'll
like the
watch it
Godfather
how
on
it's
his
meant
phone
to
or
be on my small laptop
I
screen.
I would prefer that. But this, I'd want to see it with people.
Yeah.
See if the jokes like land, because I think it'd just be funny to watch like a really visual comedy movie with people that's like this, and also see lots of bits that people might just like one person might laugh at because they've spotted some bizarre
It's
thing in the
interesting to see what
background.
different people pick up on, because especially I noticed at the start there's like so much going on the screen you kind of had to focus. Like Video Game Donkey made a video about this, and he focused on that first shot where I think at once there's the nuns with the thing going on the head, and then in the background you see, and apparently this happens quite a lot, there's people that are actually mannequins. And
because they've got cardboard. I've read they had to get cardboard cutouts.
Yeah,
because
so
they ran out of money for extras.
yeah, so in quite a lot of background shots you can see two people having a conversation, and one of them's just not real.
Never saw that.
I know. So that's something that would draw me back to rewatching it. It was like when you the Haunting of Hill House thing with all the hidden ghosts, like spotting
All
there.
of the hidden ghosts that I did not notice any of.
You didn't notice a single.
No,
Did you watch it on your phone?
no, I watched it on TV. If I
to be
watched it on my
fair,
phone, I'd have seen it.
Exactly.
The
You should watch
ghosts,
it on your phone.
there were a lot of ghosts in Hill House, whereas I think that there's only a couple of mannequins. But at the start, in the background, there's like 3 people stood there, and then one of them, I think, freezes and then becomes a person and then goes back to being stationary or something like that. And at the same time, there's the woman walking down the hallway with she looks like a nurse and she's carrying something that looks like a baby, and then you hear crying, and then it's revealed that the baby's actually in a pushchair and she's just bringing the paper towels to the toilet. So all that kind of stuff I hadn't really picked up on,
Yeah.
but it's interesting to see how different people react to it. Well, not that I have, but I think that's why a cinema would be good.
I mean, do you think, because this is very off and niche, well, I guess it's not that, I don't know, but do you think, the bit in Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun where Zach's a mannequin because he's already, they have a conversation, they bring Zach in as a different character.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he talks as a mannequin because he's already there. I wonder if that stuff's kind of
Maybe
inspired by
a lot of
Playtime doing it in the background. I can't believe that.
I know.
So what would you rate it?
Oh, we're doing right. Oh my, speeding along. All right, man. Ben's got stuff to do, apparently. What else do you have to do today? Record another episode of E&E?
Definitely not.
Well, I think what's the time?
It's 2:38. There's a clock there that I've been staring at the whole time.
We can spend 5 more minutes on it, can't we?
Come on, Ben. Oh, Ben, he's speeding. Why?
You should race into the would you?
Oh, sorry.
You almost gave it away.
The
is that
would
giving him a
you?
thumbnail? You segment. What is it?
Let's see if we get like 5 views off that.
Well, I think I did enjoy it a lot, but
Sorry, Ben's just doing the thumbnail in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do a?
True.
This is an audio format.
we
and
all
you're
need
doing
to
a silly face.
pose like mannequins.
Well, this is exactly why you should be watching us on YouTube or Spotify.
But also, you can listen on your commute, and don't want to exclude them by
No.
just
You
having
can,
visual
but
gags.
because
Oh.
you're not experiencing our full face, you have to
That's a
compensate
good
by giving us a 5-star rating.
Oh, that's true. You do have to compensate by giving us a 5-star rating.
Or you could give us a 1-star rating, but you have to leave a review so we can read it on air.
Sorry, I was just
You just talking,
using visual
right? Yeah.
gags. And what the thing is, audio listeners could think that right now Ben isn't being still and like holding his hands up like his son's just died, but maybe I just said that and he wasn't actually doing it, and they'll never know.
Only one way to find out.
Actually, no, they literally can't. If you listen to it once, you can't then watch it.
No, it's true.
Yeah, we don't actually have any visual jokes. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I think that took 5 minutes. So
That's the important things we had to say.
Yeah,
That's almost as long as the restaurant segment.
Yeah, I did enjoy it a lot, but I don't think it's quite the masterpiece that people make it out. I mean, this was one that relatively recently the BFI released the like sight and sound thing they do every decade. I think this was in the top 20 of all time or something, which I kind of get why in terms of the influence it had. And as you say, I think it is quite a... Not that it was early enough to be a transition from science to talkies, but it feels like a landmark in the way that it evolves the style of older silent films and brings it across to newer techniques and stuff. So I get why it is kind of revered by a lot of critics and people in the industry, but personally I do think that it had some pacing issues, and the ending just kind of lost me a bit, so I'd probably go 7.7.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I did enjoy it, but I'm going to rate it purely on how much I enjoyed it. Like a maniac. And I understand it being on this top thing, especially by film people, because it's so intricately crafted and it's such an insane thing. And like, I'm glad that he did it, but that doesn't make it my favorite comedy of all time.
Yeah.
And I think it was pretty funny and had like good themes, but I did get quite bored. I think the problem is that I checked how long it had been at 55 minutes in, and then I went, oh god, I'm not halfway through.
Yeah.
I was like, that it was really good. Is it near the end? Nope.
Imagine if it had been
no.
the bonus half an hour on the extended cut.
Oh god! And then I hadn't even got to the restaurant scene at that point.
Yeah, that was
And,
still the plot advance thing.
it was when they were outside where they were all in the windows, and you just hear cars go past, and I was like, oh no, there's quite a lot left. So I did get quite bored towards the end. There were still bits that I liked, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, just to be clear.
How many places that?
To about 5.5 decimal places.
That's respectable.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I agree with pretty much literally everything Tom said there, which is good because it saves me from having to say it. The only other thing I'll add is it's like I can see technically why people would put it on like a list of like the greatest films, but I also find I don't know if it's just me that there's some films out there where people seem to be kind of like the film nerds seem like so impressed by like the actual production of the film and how well it comes across and everything, that they kind of inflate scores based on how impressed they are versus the actual enjoyment. Which is what personally, like stuff like 2001, I absolutely loved, but I could easily see why someone would rate that a lot lower because it's very subjective as to how you enjoy it. It's very well made, and that's why all the film nerds are, talking about it. But in terms of actual enjoyment, I can see why people rate it lower. So for that reason, I am going to rate Playtime a 6.6.
Oh, we've had a 6.6 to 7.7. Some palindromic scores.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've gone 7 because I'm boring, I guess.
Spoiling it.
Yeah, it feels a bit mean doing that, but really it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be mean to rate something
It's
above
okay,
a 5.
Ben.
And
You could give it a good score.
Yeah, exactly. It's because all of our scores are just like in the 7s. It feels so like evil to rate it a 6 when that's still above good.
I know it's difficult because I realise that I keep picking films to watch that I know will be really good.
Well, like,
Exactly,
that's the thing,
yeah.
People go up all about. Some people have like letterbox distributions where they do have 2.5 stars. As
Yeah.
like the mean. And my mode rating is 4 stars on letterbox.
But that's because you
'Cause I
just pick
keep
what you want to
picking
watch.
Really good movies.
To me, there's nothing worse than just mid film, like a 5, because
Yeah.
you don't get enjoyment out of it being good or it being like so bad that it's good. It's just like middle of the road.
I want
like,
this.
Mile 22 type thing, even though that was it sort of had a personal thing that because of
Yeah.
like a generic action film type thing. It might be a 5, but like
But then again, it's because of my ratings being placed mainly on enjoyment. I would actually flip that on its head and say that a mid film would actually be rated really low for me, and something like Birdemic's the go-to example as like a bad film, right? But one that you enjoy. I think I can't remember what I rated it on the podcast, but I think I might rate it.
I think we gave it
higher
a
now.
5. Just,
I'd have probably gone higher now.
Yeah,
because
well, I tend to try and factor more into it, just the objective quality. But another thing that's I think beyond enjoyment is just the sort of emotional investment in the characters and the plot, which this lacked. And 2001 kind of lacks that in the sense that the Dave Bowman isn't necessarily like a very emotive character, but there is an intention behind that. And I think there is also an intention behind it in this because it's meant to show that sort of loss of individuality and that confusion in this environment, which is why I rated it slightly higher. But I don't think you can necessarily argue that this was you could be that empathetic towards this protagonist.
No, it doesn't have the same emotional investment as other stuff, which I also look for
exactly
in movies. Something I could really not enjoy a movie, but because I was emotionally invested. Requiem for a Dream. Can't say it was a pleasant watching experience, but I would rate it very highly because I was emotionally invested and devastated as a result. But yeah. My ideal letterbox distribution score ratings would be like a scoop in the middle.
Yeah.
Woods, like half a star and 5 stars are the most given.
Yeah.
And then it
We just need to watch more
I would
terrible
love to
films.
watch movies where that happens. But I just pick things that are supposed to be very good. So the most given is 4 stars because it was really good. It wasn't perfect, but it was still really good. That's why I'm most given. And then, because I've got 3.5 and 4.5 on each. So that's why letterbox users come for me. And I'm like, why are you rating things so highly? Because I'm watching good movies. Go away. I pick things. I just try to watch lots of good
with
movies.
like, all these people?
You actually
swatting
interact
away
with
all these
them,
letterbox
Letterboxd.
users.
Just the letterbox haters. You
It's
can't
literally
escape
just
them.
like people will mention this about someone else on the internet, and I'll be like, "Oh, they're talking about me."
But I suppose it's also kind of a flaw in the podcast itself because we do tend to go for movies we know are good
Or bad. And
Yeah.
that's-
bad, but we'll enjoy them.
But
yeah.
And we haven't really done many in terms of in terms of both objective quality and enjoyment,
Yeah, but
mid films.
I know,
Watch everything that comes out.
but we don't need to. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, having a skewed medium.
That's true. But also, if you have any recommendations for us to watch, send them in at entertainmentofexcellence.weebly.com or by DMing us on Instagram or TikTok at UOV Podcast, and also follow us there, and also send us submissions if you want them done on the submission spotlight section. Thank you very much.
And that's a great transition because we're going to go
bonus segment.
into a different, because we don't have a submission this week.
We should probably do this more regularly if we ever
Yes.
not
But
stuff.
You can
My
submit.
shelf submitted something.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes, Shelf.
The Shelf submitted something on the form at entertainmentofexcellence.weebly.com.
Yeah. Good shelf.
And that was, would you rather?
Now, this is our first game that we've reviewed.
It's right here. I remembered where I put it.
Play it
It's
live
quite
on air.
complicated rules, so if we want to explain it, basically you get 2 options,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're usually kind of comparable.
Okay.
So it may be, for instance, would you rather every time you lied your nose got bigger, or
Yeah.
your ears got bigger? So
Oh.
like, you see,
Oh, I
they're
know.
kind of similar.
Neither.
But you can't pick that.
You're not
Oh,
familiar with
go,
the rules
would,
yet.
Would you rather do this or that?
You have to pick.
You have to do what?
You can't pick both. You can't pick neither.
Exactly.
Why would I pick both, though, Ollie? I wouldn't want them both to get bigger.
Yeah, but some of them, they're good things.
Oh, I see. Okay, I think I follow. I'll keep the game so that I have the rules.
Oh, good.
Just
doesn't
in
actually-
case you have a memory lapse.
It doesn't actually tell
It
me.
doesn't have the rules. I meant to know.
It just says, yeah, perfect for friends and family. Break into pairs and answer. The outcomes are
We
hilarious.
have to break into a pair.
Yeah,
Oh, who's
apparently.
leaving then?
Also, it's got
Tom,
2
this
of
is a
the
special
same
guest.
recycling thing. It's literally, it says mix paper from responsible sources, and then they both even have the exact same number code underneath. So it's not
Maybe-
even like 2 separate things.
Alright.
Maybe that's a would you rather as well. Which one do you prefer?
I'd rather the left one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, let's all
I'd
pick
rather
one.
the right one.
Do we
Right.
pick one and read both, or pick one
Oh,
and
should we
pick
take
one
a
of
card
them?
each?
Yeah.
I see. Take it from this side because we've done a lot of the other ones.
Yeah.
There's 2 on each card, so should we?
Should we pick the best one?
Okay. Well, I've got a classic, so shall I start with my classic?
Yeah,
for
you
it.
start.
Would you rather be able to fly or be able to become invisible?
Well, I'd.
If you pick one, you're a pervert.
Well,
I
that's what I was
think I'd
going to
much
say. I
rather-
was trying to think of the other use of becoming invisible. So,
Yeah, it's not like we're dodging like assassinations
No.
of secret agents. Or
yeah,
anything.
it's only for like if you wanted to find a top secret going to a meeting where they're disclosing some information, just sneak in.
Yeah, because you can't even like get to the front. Because my thing, I was like, obviously, every time I get a would you rather question, I'm like, how would this improve my experience at gigs? I'd be able to push to the front without getting beaten up, I guess.
You could stand on stage,
Oh, I could stand on stage.
snuck in, but it'd still be quite
Yeah.
difficult because even if you are invisible, you'd have to like, you still.
You just have to physically.
Yeah.
You're still physically there.
But the thing
Fly,
with
you could fly
flying,
over the top of the crowd and see the gig. You know.
You could
Yeah,
just sort
exactly.
of hover and watch. Although I suppose it depends how much effort that takes.
Yeah,
It might be more effort
I'd go
than
with
it's worth.
fly, although I can't think of like a bunch of instances where I'd be using it.
But it's
you
just
know,
cool.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, invisible would be quite cool because you could maybe like sneak into 10 Downing Street and
But are your clothes invisible? Is it? Have we got the classic? Like,
True.
you
gotta
don't have to go
naked.
completely naked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
It's more hassle than it's worth.
again, it
Yeah.
depends how much effort it is because if you're like really straining and you just can't, your muscles can't take it anymore, and then you suddenly become visible again and
Yeah.
you're just naked.
Yeah.
Just got
So
your dick
I
out.
think we're all
Exactly.
saying fly, aren't we?
yeah. So I'd pick invisible because I'm a pervert.
Alright.
Next question.
Do you want to go?
Right. Well, would you rather go swimming with sharks
hmm
or go running with lions?
Oh. Oh, that's neither.
Oh,
I
no!
can't do
No, he's
that.
forgotten the
Oh,
rules.
I forgot the rules.
You've got the rules right in front of you.
Oh, it just says, "Would you rather?" What would you rather do?
Exactly, that's the rule.
That's the rules.
Oh, okay.
Well, personally, I suppose you kind of need to weigh up the stats of people getting eaten by lions versus people
Eaten
being
by
eaten by
sharks.
sharks.
But the thing is, we're quite experts on sharks now
We are.
after
Yes.
watching a lot of shark films. So I feel like I'd pick that one.
Yeah, because don't you just need to hit them on the nose, right? Punch them on the nose. We've learnt that. Play them dolphin sounds.
You go for the bit between the two heads. Oh, sorry.
Well, it depends. How many heads do the shark have? Are they?
Yeah, that's true. Do they have 5 heads? Do they have 4 heads? One
They're
on the
4.
back? 4 heads, 1 head on the back.
There isn't a 4-headed shark.
No, they're at the
That'd be
start of
ridiculous.
5-headed shark. They've
Well,
got 4 heads.
This
and
is a
then the
reference
one on
to
the
the
back
movie
grows.
Five-Headed
True.
Shark Attack.
If on the Wikipedia page it says 5-headed shark attack contains first a 4-headed shark and then a 5-headed shark. So get back in your own lane, Ollie.
What I don't understand is at the end of 3-headed shark attack, didn't it cut off the middle head and grew 2 back?
Yeah.
Explaining that it then had
4 heads. If you cut one of them off,
it had 3
you're left
heads
with 2 heads.
Yeah,
And then it grows 2 back, giving you
So
4.
it grows the original one back
But then
plus
it-
1.
but was that the same shark? Because it never
I'm
seems to be.
convinced that it's a different shark each movie.
Yeah. So why did they need to do that at the end to like explain why it had 4 heads? So they just use a different shark.
Because movie.
I'd
Yeah.
rather
Because
swim with
Keenan.
sharks.
So
I think I'd rather swim with sharks, yeah.
Great.
okay.
What's your course, Ollie?
Mine's a bit boring now.
Oh, no.
Got 2, are they both boring?
Yeah, I haven't got a good
pick
card.
another
Yeah,
one
I'll
if you
go for
want.
it.
Okay. They were that boring.
Because one of them isn't applicable to me. It's like, would you rather have a clone of your pet? So I don't have a pet in the first place. So the other one, like, live on a houseboat or a caravan. It's not cutting it.
Quite houseboat or
I mean,
a
houseboat,
caravan.
obviously, but
This is clearly the British version.
Okay,
would you rather...
final question.
Or
Would you rather have an extra finger on each hand? Or can you guess what the other option's going to be?
extra,
an extra toe on each hand?
on each hand. Extra penis.
Ben's close. It's an extra toe
Extra-
on each foot.
Oh.
An extra penis on each foot?
Oh, that would be a pain, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'd go with an extra toe, I think.
What? Why?
Because
I'd go with that too.
I'm used to having 5 fingers, and having an extra toe wouldn't really impact me that much.
Oh.
Toes are in your shoes most of the time anyway, so like it's not like you're even going to look weird.
Think of the
Yeah.
chords you could play with 6 fingers on each hand.
Well, think it with the chords you can
but
play with your
also,
feet.
Oh,
think
that's
of the
true.
money you can make from OnlyFans.
What? This is like the 3rd time Ben's brought up OnlyFans in a Would You
Six-toed
Rather.
feet attack.
Well, mate, there's hand people as well.
Yeah, but there's not as big a community unless they're underground. If any of you lucky viewers want to receive pictures of my hands, then get in contact at EOV Podcast on Instagram or Twitter. Not Twitter, TikTok.
It's actually called X, Ben.
Well, X can mark the spot where it goes and pisses right off.
Oh, language, Morris.
Wow.
Take that, Elon!
Wow.
Do you do a speedy recommendation?
Oh,
We could do
I watched The Last of Us. That was good.
Oh, why don't we do individual ones on this one and then talk about something we all saw on the next one that we're totally not recording today?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Is this about an Australian thing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I watched The Last of Us recently.
Ooh, nice.
Terrific. It's really good.
It is
It's
good.
really good. Unfortunately, 2 of the best episodes. I was looking on the IMDb. I was like, oh, which ones do people like? And the 2 lowest rated. That meant I was like, okay, maybe I can switch off a bit. Turns out they were 2 of the best episodes. It was
Which
just
ones
because
are
of homophobia.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it was disguised as like being this is the games, except one of them is. So I don't know.
Yeah. The one thing I feel like the ending was a bit rushed.
They did rush the ending. I
But-
thought I was like, that's a bit speedy.
Yeah.
I was like, how are they going to do all the end of the first game? Oh, wow, whoa. Oh my God. Just
They
a
could have done
montage
with
of murder.
another
Wow.
episode, I feel, but
Yeah, because they had 9. It was like,
yeah.
was that an
Just
extra
have a-
episode?
have a-
Did they
a tenth?
have to cut one because of money?
I don't know.
Or
I
they
doubt
could
it.
Could have had a 70-minute episode like this first one.
Yeah.
again.
The first
I don't know.
episode was great, though.
First episode. I mean, every episode was stellar. I loved
Yeah.
all of them. They were all
Good
very
show.
good. Oh, Last of Us is good. It's just come out, I think. So I'm glad that I'm on the ball.
It's pretty
on the
underground
news.
as well.
Yeah, it is quite. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but I watched the 3 Colors trilogy recently, which I gratefully gifted to Ollie and then borrowed back. They're really good. Again, one of those people that's red's the best, white's the worst for me. Red was so good. It's like Red, because the Three Color trilogy feels so grounded, and then at the end, Red starts to do. It's like it does kind of David Lynch, like diet David Lynch. At the end, like stuff starts to go weird. Like there's that thing with the two glasses where only one of them's wobbling. It turns out that one of these characters seems to be living the same life as this older man, and then all the characters are in this big cruise crash or whatever. Like it starts to get really weird, but it's got all this stuff to do with kind of like, I don't know, with like helping people and also privacy. And yeah, like Red really goes into lots of detail. Blue is just tragic, really sad, depressing, but you know, it's got great performances. Then White is a bit weird. White's like the Hustler movie. You hustle, you get that bag by being a bad security guard and also shooting your friend, but not. I don't know.
So Paul Blackmore cop.
Yes. That's what I've watched. What have you watched?
Well, I remembered recently that I'd tried to watch all of the well, they were originally Netflix Marvel shows, but they got bought off Netflix and they're on Disney Plus. I remember trying to watch them, and I gave up at Luke Cage because I just couldn't get through that. But then I remembered one show that I hadn't seen, which was The Punisher, and that is very good.
It is good. I've seen most of it. I think it stopped for some reason, but
it's got some really good character development. I feel like Frank Castle gets a much better sort of view on his backstory in this than he kind of gets in Daredevil. Where, like, don't get me wrong, I love Daredevil, but season 2 did kind of rush his introduction a bit. So it was nice having his own show, and you know, it was suitably violent, and some nice crossover with the other ones as well. Yeah. So yeah, it was good. Watch The Punisher.
That's a niche show.
Very niche. Yeah.
I watched the huge blockbuster hit Past Lives.
Oh, is that? No, I'm thinking of The Lives of Others. Never mind.
No, it's an A24 film that came out this year. I'd heard about it from a few festival runs it did a while back, and it doesn't seem to have got a huge release in the UK yet. But I thought it was amazing. Like probably up there with the very best of A24 films, because it tells such a simple story at its core, just about these two kind of childhood friends that grow up in Korea, and one emigrates at quite a young age, and then they kind of reconnecting, and then she gets married. A friend comes back and visits, and then it's kind of like them thinking about what could have been, and there's this continuing motif about like things happening in past and future lives between people, and I just thought it was like incredibly effectively told, this story. It also had some amazing cinematography and stuff as well, and the acting was all really good. I think it's actually the debut film from the director, which is very surprising, because it's like to come out of the gate with something that stellar is quite rare.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd
Cool.
recommend watching that if you get a chance.
Well, interestingly, I just pulled this card and it says, would you rather record another hour of this episode or say the catchphrase and end the episode?
I think, personally, I would rather you say the catchphrase.
Okay, the catchphrase is, all work time and no playtime makes Jack a dull boy. All right, see ya.
Jack being
All
the
right, see ya.
podcast. All right, see ya.
Presented by Ollie Luff, Thom Sweeney, and Ben Stinson. Music by Thom Sweeney and Ben Stinson. Audio engineered by Ben Stinson at Longwater Productions. All Right See Ya, created by Al Wright, Sr. All rights, brackets, see ya, close brackets, reserved.